Exactly 1 week after President Bola Ahmed Tinubu inaugurated his 45-member cabinet following confirmation by the Senate, the President has held the first Federal Executive Council meeting of his administration on this Monday, and not the usual days of Wednesday. An unexpected twist was underlined with deliberate instruction as the President made the ministers understand that running the affairs of their various ministries lies in their hands. Although he explained he was open to correction, he, however, likened Nigeria to a dry well that the ministers must ensure they get water from. Special areas the President emphasized include economy, food security, energy and natural resources, education, as well as social investment. You would recall that during the swearing-in ceremony on August 21st, the President was emphatic on the ministers restoring public faith in government so that people can once again believe that the right hands in government can perform. But the big question is, how effectively can this be done? Today on Nigeria Today, we'll focus on the inaugural FEC meeting. Welcome to the program. I am your carrier, Clinton. Joining me to discuss the inaugural Federal Executive Council meeting, FEC, is Olabode Shomi, an energy expert and a public affairs analyst. Welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Also joining us is Ahmed Abubakar Tanimo, public affairs analyst and a legal practitioner. Glad you could join us.
I'm happy being here.
Okay. Olabode, building confidence of Nigerians and government and shunning propaganda seems to be very important to the President. Now, how important would that be, considering that Nigerians seemingly have lost hope in what public officers say or do?
You will recall that in '99, we had over a decade of military rule when the Obasanjo administration came in. I remember very vividly, this was late into 1999, just before they were sworn in. President Obasanjo visited Cuba and had a meeting with the late Fidel Castro. In his own feedback, when he came back, he asked that despite all the issues that Cuba had, the blockade from America, over the decades, from the 50s up until the 90s then, that how was Cuba able to get to the stage where they were in? I mean, this is a live video, it's recorded somewhere, I remember seeing. And he said that Fidel told him that the things they succeeded in doing were not magical, but they continued to do the right things, the little things, but they remained consistent in doing the right things. Propaganda has its powers, whether positive or negative, but it's like wildfire. It can only do certain things. A number of all those things can only do certain things, but it is doing the right things, irrespective of the negative energy that comes in, that is the ultimate basis for progress in Nigeria. The right things don't bring results quickly, and that is where the politics comes in. So it is incumbent upon the President and the people that he's working with to manage the storms that will come in till and remain consistent till what they are doing brings results.
Ahmed, we know that no, the mandate is simple, but we know that governance can be quite compromising. So what do you expect to see from the minister, given this directive by the President?
To be candid, unlike what we saw some ministers doing, some of them started partying, calling drum beaters and marauders to be praising and praying. What they need at this moment, if I'm in their shoes, I think I should be crying. So for me, the expectations for the ministers is quite daunting. I think they should hit the ball, the ground running. We want to see them roll out certain deliverables within a frame of time. You say within the next 100 days, these are the things that they are going to deliver on. It should be verifiable, it should be out there so that Nigerians can use that as like a test run to know that in the next couple of years, this is what their expectation will be. Anything short of that, I don't think, and as my co-analyst rightly pointed out, we want to see them as the paragon. They should be able to lead by example. So now, if a minister is being exorbitant, is showing off, is making promises that he knows are not achievable, that is conditional, subject to other factors that is not within his control, Nigerians will not accept that. What we want is realistic, deliverable. Not this time, there's no room for promises anymore. It's result-oriented goals within a verifiable period of time.
Of course, that's exactly what the president was hammering on, performance from the ministers. Now, during his speech, he was emphatic on, about energy and natural resources. He made mention of prioritizing production of oil and gas. Now, in your opinion, how critical is this, especially in the face of the fuel subsidy removal and, of course, the cost of petroleum?
To begin with, no nation can be called civilized without energy. So if you are any nation in this world, you don't have electricity, whatever excuse you have, you will operate at a certain subnormal rate. So energy cannot be overemphasized in terms of its critical nature. However, there are sciences to this, and we talk about certain things that need to be done. We have effectively 3 ministers within the core energy areas. You have the one handling power, you have the one handling gas resources, you have the one handling petroleum. Traditionally, gas has been a poor cousin of oil, being overshadowed. But by the nature of gas and the movement towards sustainable energy, towards green energy, gas becomes a critical energy factor. In point of fact, in Nigeria, we have declared this decade as the decade of gas. And the industry players have gathered together as stakeholders to open a decade of gas office, meaning that we want to focus on gas to ensure that it creates development for us. There is gas as its promises, because with gas, one of the things with gas is that you can actually have a cottage industry in every of the 774 local governments and thereby ensure even urbanization and even development. And what's the cottage industry? So we take Potiskum, or you take a local government somewhere in Niger. Whatever is predominant in that area, be it that they grow mangoes, be it they grow tomatoes, be it they grow oranges, you develop an industry that will use those things that they have there. It could be mango juice processing plant, it could be a tomato canning factory. But the core of that is that every single industry, every single local government will have industry. So people who are in those local government areas don't have to come to Abuja, to Port Harcourt, to Lagos and crowd the infrastructure. They can actually be who they want to be in those areas. And a pipeline network of gas can ensure that. One of the things was that the president was the only one as a presidential candidate that actually spoke to a plan for gas. And he talked about a pipeline that will run from the south-south through the southeast to the southwest. And of course, there is the AKK which is existing, which means that all the industries in the southeast, were they to make that plan a reality, will have energy for the roiling of their boilers and all that. And basically, it will take Nigeria to a quantum height in terms of next levels.
Now, Tadibu, talking about in a little bit away from the energy, now talking about social investment, the federal government has already rolled out palliative plans for subnationals. Now, how these the acquisition of these palliatives, impact on Nigerians, the economy, and of course local businesses in states, and
For some of us, we could have suggested to the government that instead of resorting to tokenism, I say tokenism in the sense that if you give an average family 25 kg of rice and a keg of palm oil and groundnut oil, it will not last them a month. If we consistently continue to operate on this platform for maybe 6 months, it will not impact on their capacity to fend for themselves.
Well, has it been distributed in most of the states?
Most of the states have not even distributed. So we have instances of warehouses that have been stockpiled. So it's about ownership And when you look at it, you say man inhumanity to man. If you can still have COVID palliative in some warehouses being stocked, if you go to Garki, I'm making this on national television, you go to Garki, there is this intervention that the government tried to like green energy intervention whereby gas cookers were purchased. Till this moment, since the era of Goodluck Jonathan, those items are still being kept in a warehouse in Garki. And you see, you ask yourself, what kind of country do we operate if COVID palliatives are still in some warehouses? And we know, it's on record, some of those palliatives were diverted. Already, we have seen some programs where people are giving some trickle of items as palliative. It's not sustainable.
But the method of distribution for this one is will be totally different from that of the COVID-19.
But already we've started seeing the effect, and the effect is not impacting. I'm telling you that if you are giving 25 kg, in the local parlance, you say 3 module of rice, a family of 4, it will not take them for a week.
But certainly we do something.
You look at it, you correlate it with the fact that you now have a high cost of living. Who is giving palliative on the cost of rent, on the cost of logistics, moving from one place to the other? What we are saying is that we are ready to make sacrifices. The government too should make sacrifices. Everybody is ready to make sacrifices. But the sacrifices should be time-bound. We want our refineries to be functional. We want the gas project, the gas pipeline to permeate all the nooks and crannies of the economy, but should be done within a given period of time. And if the masses are suffering, if the masses are making sacrifices, we want the ministers to lead by example. We want the members of the National Assembly to equally make sacrifices. In fact, they have the burden of making a greater part of the sacrifices. They should cut down on their allowances, on their bogus yes, I said bogus allowances, so that the impact of this subsidy will be less felt by the generality of Nigerians.
All right, it is still Nigeria today. Let's pause and listen to some high points at the Federal Executive Council meeting. Don't go away.
We have declared state of emergency. What is your goal? Every one of you is a member of this team. No partitioning. We must start to produce for ourselves, dig ourselves out of the hole. Focus on education, healthcare, make social investment that is essential for the development of our people. The expectation is high, and there's tough time right now. We must work hard, commit ourselves, and create a buoyant economy that will serve every Nigerian. We have an unemployment level that is not acceptable. We are threatened by climate change. But to turn things around, you have been selected to perform your utmost best.
Welcome back. We are still on Nigeria today. We are looking at the inaugural FEC meeting. That was the president there talking. Now, he also talked about, he mentioned the unemployment. He really wasn't really comfortable with the level of the rate of unemployment. But come to think of it, he's determined to change the narrative. What's your take?
So unemployment, and by extension employment, is one of those critical things that is system-based. And what do I mean by system-based? In other words, it does not rest upon one person. So for example, you talk about the digestive system, you talk about the reproductive system, meaning that there are component parts that makes the whole thing to function. It is not just your mouth that makes your digestive, it's just the stomach. There are factors, and each factor must function optimally to ensure. And so why have I talked about system? Because we tend to focus on one thing, and that thereby create what I call the Messiah complex, where we are looking for a scapegoat who is responsible for all the problems, or we are looking for a Messiah that will solve all the problems. A single person does not solve a team problem. And unemployment is like that. So when you look at it, in every nation of this world, the biggest sources of providing employment is the private sector. So there must, and this is a must, there must be systems in place for the private sector to produce. So in America, which is one of the best examples of capitalism, 80% of employment comes from businesses that are owned by husband and wife. They employ 3, they employ 5, maximum 10, but that's where 80% of employment comes in, which means that we need to create and encourage small businesses, either by tax incentives, either by training, either by capacity development for them to employ people. That is one. And then 2, significant infrastructure development. Now, the Marshall Plan, which is about the most successful plan in the last 200-300 years for creating development in the economy, was used in Europe after the destruction of Europe as a result of the Second World War. The same thing for the plan, the New Deal, which was created by Roosevelt for America after the Depression. They focused on infrastructure. Till today, one of the beautiful things about America is their road infrastructure. You travel from Florida, you get to the north, you go from New Mexico, you get to Washington State. But those roads were created in the 30s. And they were created so that people can have jobs. And again, it leads me to some of our energy infrastructure. By the time you start to create pipelines, people must dig some things. So all those people who were selling, who are touts and all that, have an opportunity to exercise some muscles, get some certain income per day. They get everybody engaged. It may not be a lot, but it gets people engaged. It gets people occupied. And in the process of people being engaged, you start to build infrastructure, which ultimately will lead to national development. Remember, we have the Gas Master Plan. And one of the focuses of Gas Master Plan is that for local content development, is that there will be gas for gas to power, there will be gas for LPG, which is your domestic cooking gas. There will be gas for gas-based industries. Those are industries that use significant amount of gas for their operation. So you're talking about methanol, you're talking about steel, you're talking about fertilizer, you're talking about all those kind of things. And then there is gas for the industry. So once those pipelines exist, every of those type of industry can organize themselves as clusters along the paths that those pipelines will. The important thing is that there's a clear vision. What is now required is just like somebody who got admission to study a 4-year course to study law. You have gotten your admission. If you are consistent, if you are hardworking and persistent, you will come out at the end of 4 years as a lawyer. So for what we need now is the persistence, the consistency, and to continue to do the right things irrespective of the noise on the sides so that we reach the goal that this nation so richly deserves. Okay,
the persistency, the consistency, and that determination to do the right thing. However, you've seen the determination on the face of our president. How far will that go in restoring the confidence of Nigerians? Because, you know, at least you talked about petroleum, petrol, which of course we've been given from between now and December to have one of our refineries working, which of course definitely that will tell on confidence, right?
Yes. You see, in the immediate past, using the past regime as an example, we've seen very beautiful speeches and sermons and determination and reading the Riot Act, and nothing came out of it. You know why? Because there was no sanction and consequences. So we want all the ministers to have a performance review mechanism. It should be on board from the get-go, so that we should be able to, the populace, the masses should be able to hold specific ministers accountable for what he has laid down as his goals to achieve within a verifiable period of time. And there should be consequences. The president should be in a hurry to sack any of the ministers that has failed to deliver on the agreed expectation. That's only the time Nigerians will take every organ of the government seriously. And we should not focus on the federal government alone. The federal government has this mandate and the responsibility of finding ways to integrate what happens at the state level, at the local government level. Abuja or the federal government cannot run the affairs of government in total. We need all stakeholders to be on board. If the federal government is doing well, it will only have impact if the states at various levels, if the local government at various levels are equally impacting and keen into the renewed hope agenda. But what do you have? You have incidences of corruption, looting at the various. So if, no matter how beautiful a program is, a Marshall Plan is, if you have income leakages, wastages, corruption at all sectors. So you see as my co-analyst rightly pointed out, it's a system. You have to work on every other component for it to have the desired effect. The judiciary, our court should be able to adjudicate. You wonder if politics is this important that there's a time frame for litigation and electoral matter. Why don't you have similar time frame for investment and commercial related transactions, so that you know that when you are bringing in your money and there's an issue, the litigation will not last for 5-10 years in the courtroom. You know, by then you will be out of business. The same attention that is given to the political space, why can't it be equally be given to the commercial aspect? Then you talk about security. We are still not getting the desired expectation that we expected from the angle of the security. I'm surprised that I don't want to castigate or make a remark on the or people in charge of security, that's the Ministry of Defense, but a lot is much more is desired. You need an experienced hand and knows, given that they don't have military background, but what is facing and bedeviling the country at the moment is insecurity. People can no longer travel to their villages. Before now, you have businesses that you see people traveling from Kaduna down to the east, down to Mina, down to Borno, down to every spot. If you have good roads and you are scared of even embarking on a journey, what's the essence of the good road? So insecurity is still a major challenge. Just recently, we know what happened in Niger State. Kidnapping activity is still flourishing in Zamfara, in Katsina, in Kaduna. So until that is tackled, we will still continue to be where we are.
Oh, a lot is in the pipeline. A lot is being done to handle quite a lot. And of course, the president has urged the cabinet members not to disappoint Nigerians. And I bet you, right now, their seats are very hot because the president will not rest on his oars. He will make sure that, you know, the performance
Maybe we should
is
get
his
their
priority.
in advance.
No,
Well, that's it on Nigeria today. But I must thank Olabode Shomi, energy expert and public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for your time and contribution.
Thank you, madam.
And also Ahmed Abubakar Tanimu, public affairs analyst and a legal practitioner. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
And to our viewer, it's always been a pleasure having you here. Don't forget, Nigeria Today airs weekday by 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can watch this and other episodes on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. I am your carrier, Clinton. Goodbye.